All right, so let's take a look at our next topic here. Let me share the screen with you. And that is really some things that are particular to our industry or to us as people in the industry. And that's titled Working with Others. You'll have a reflection on all this, so I want you to read it. I want you to go through and read this. It's not long, right? But know it, understand it. So here's the thing. IT people are seen as hard to deal with, people that look down on others, people that treat each other poorly, judgmental of those that don't understand technology. And a lot of this came from the 50s and 60s when computer systems were massive machines and behind glass. And the reason why they were is to keep them cool and to keep people from messing with them that shouldn't be messing with them. And they were very complicated. Everything was really extremely complicated. And I'll say this again and again, but people often just go with whatever they heard first, right? Whatever the first experience was. And this is somewhat the same. In the 50s and 60s, it was this way, and it's that way now. And of course, that's not true. So in technology, you won't be behind some glass door shoved in a cave someplace where nobody can come and see you. Well, to a point. You actually can get jobs like that. You can get jobs that you're only working with servers and user requests coming in through the email, and then you work with the server and you do something on the server. You can find those jobs. But for the most part, information technology driven world, those IT and IS must work with people across the organization on a daily basis. That's the norm. And that's actually one of the things I try to tell in my 103 class. Somebody that's in marketing will work with a computer just as much as somebody that's actually in IT will work with a computer. Where in most people's minds, it's like, I don't want to go into IT or IS because I don't want to work with a computer all the time. You know, that just doesn't sound like it's fun. Well, don't do anything then, right? Because in most jobs, you're going to be working with a computer all the time. And you're going to get up and go talk to people rarely. That's what most people do. Hate to say it, but it's true. We use computers for everything. And so you need to realize that when you're working in technology, because that technology is with everybody and everybody's using that technology, you then will be working with those people. So don't use technobabble. That's a name that's been given to it from other people, but it's anything that they can't understand. Let's give you, for instance, USB stands for Universal Serial Bus. There's many revisions of it now. We're up to 3.2 on it now. And of course, they're working on 4. It doesn't matter. USB is such a ubiquitous term. It's been around since 1992. So if I say USB to somebody, they know that, oh, okay, well, that's that thing on my computer, that port. They may not know how USB works or even where they're located on their computer, but they know USB is some kind of port that you plug stuff into. That works. Now, there is another technology called SCSI. SCSI stands for Small Computer Serial Interface, even though that's not what it ended up being. SCSI drives are used in servers still largely today. Because they're very robust. And so you often pay for a SCSI drive, although SATA is really coming up. But anyway, nobody knows what SCSI is. If you went around telling somebody, well, there's a server and we got these SCSI drives in them, they don't know what you're talking about. What the heck is a SCSI drive, right? And when terminology is new, they don't know either. SSD, right? Solid disk drive. Solid state disk drive. That's basically no moving parts. That's your thumb drive, right? That's your flash drive, whatever it is that you want to call it. That's an SSD. But SSDs usually refer to the thing that's replacing the HDD, right? And the HDD is your hard disk drive, so you're going to put an SDD in. But if I started talking this way, to people that were just within my organization. They're going to, what are you talking about? And I don't need to talk that way, right? I could say, well, we're going to put in a solid state disk drive to replace your hard disk drive because your hard disk drive has moving parts in it, and your solid state drive is going to be about 7 to 10 times faster, and there's no moving parts, and so it's going to generate less heat. It'll just be better for the system. See, they understand that instead of saying, well, we're going to put in an SSD to replace your HDD because the SSDs are just faster. And they're like, what are you talking about? What's faster? Where does this get put in? Right? It's very confusing. So you do your best not to use technobabble, and that can be difficult. But what I found is that a lot of tech people will purposefully use this, right? I want to make you feel stupid. So why don't you sit down and I'll tell you about everything in the world dealing with technology with acronyms. That way you can feel like you're an idiot, right? That's not a good approach. It's not going to get you a pay raise. It may get you fired. Won't get you a recommendation for the next job. And I have seen tech people lose their jobs because that's their attitude about things. So follow social communications rules. Another important concept is to follow the social rules necessary for good communication. And again, some of you may laugh at this because you're coming into the tech field having already done something else, right? But those of you that are in the tech field or are just going into it and don't know much about it, this is no laughing matter. Tech people tend to act opposite to this. So look at people in the eye when you speak to them. In the US, if I'm not looking you in the eye, then I'm deceptive. There's something shifty about me. I don't know what I'm talking about, or I don't have confidence, or I'm lying to you and I can't look at you in the eye. That's what not looking at people in the eye means in this country. And so you need to learn to look at people in the eye when you communicate with them and not feel intimidated by that. Educationally, this is where you start. Of course, watching this video and not being face to face is not a good opportunity, right? But COVID is what it is. Use proper hygiene. Boy, that sounds like it should happen. I've had students that don't know what hygiene refers to. Well, I don't know if they don't know what hygiene refers to. According to how they smelled, they didn't know. Take a bath, right? You do that every day. You put on deodorant. You comb your hair. You get your hair cut. I'm going to tell you, I have this one kid. He came in. I say kid, right? You know, he's an adult. He comes into the classes. He takes 103. He takes my CMP 103 as he's finished with his general education degree. And he just blows through that course, man. I mean, piece of cake for him. He's like, I like this stuff. So he decides to take all the classes, right? He ends up he didn't just get a GE degree, but since he found what he loved, he got his 2-year AAS degree. He got network certified. He got A+ certified. Now, when you get into 151 and 250 and you look at the load and what has to happen in that class and all the concepts that you're learning, you realize, wow, getting certified in that and completing the course, that is pretty awesome. He loved this stuff. But there was a problem with hygiene, and there was a problem with really, really long hair and not washing the hair or combing it. And he doesn't live in California. So, right, social norms change depending on where you're living. That's just not acceptable. And he came in years later and he was like, I just can't seem to find a job. I'm like, well, maybe, cut the hair. Start there, right? Either that or move to a state that doesn't mind it, like Colorado or California, right? Because there is those social norms. It's like, we don't care if you have long hair. Half the people that work at the company have this long, graggly hair. But in a lot of states, no, that just means, should I trust you with my computer systems when you can't take care of yourself, right? The guy is super smart. Anyway, use a useful tone. You may have to figure out what that is. but you use a useful tone. You don't talk down to people. Well, let me tell you, what you're going to have to do is, okay, I don't want to listen to you anymore. I don't care what your advice is. Just go away. Use a helpful tone. Um, well, let's take a look. Let's take a look at what's happening. Let me see what's happening on the computer. You have to figure out what that means, but you can figure that out just by watching YouTube, right? You can watch different people on YouTube and go, they're helpful. What makes them that way, right? That helpful tone feeds right into do not behave like your superior. If you don't know what Nick Burns is, go take a look. I'll try to pull one up here. They'd taken him off of YouTube for a while, and they're on NBC's site, and you could look at them. But this is early Jimmy Fallon right here, and it was such a big thing. The tech people's attitude was such a huge thing. It actually had an SNL skit that was ongoing. There's like 15 or 16 skits about Nick Burns, who just is condescending to everybody that he runs into and gives them all a bad time because he's the computer guy and he knows what he's doing and you're all a bunch of idiots. And so I usually show that. I'll see if I'll probably pause this so I can find when I can just play it right here and you can watch it on my little video. But try to adjust yourself so that you can help people, get over yourself and help people, because if you can do that, then you'll be really successful again and you'll get the promotions and you'll get the money. It's the people that don't do that. It's like, why are we keeping this person around? So let me pause right there for a second and I'll find one of those and we'll show it to you before we move on. All right, let's resume. Sorry for the low quality, but this was low quality TV back then, so it's going to be kind of blurry. And yeah, that's Jimmy Fallon right here speaking to, oh no, who is that? Yeah, so hopefully you'll be able to hear this well. Actually, let me turn it up a bit. Maybe too loud, but we'll give this a shot.
It just crashes every time my screensaver comes up.
All right, let's run a test. Just type in xy dot violator slash 467F46.
Type in
Move!
That's one of
Oh,
them.
by the way, you're welcome.
That's how I usually ended it. All right, we'll stop it there. But you get the idea. You can look up Nick Burns, and again, it's on NBC site for sure. And again, if that's on a Saturday Night Live skit, then that says something about tech people and who they were, if not still are. And I think a lot of people still feel that way. And so don't be that. Don't be that condescending person. Now, a note on presentations. I throw this in. I should throw a little brief thing in there again because there's so much information you can go out and find that's good about giving presentations. And when you're teaching a class, you can't follow those rules too much, unfortunately, because you have so many concepts that you have to cover. But if you were going to make a presentation and then go stand up and give it in the organization, which will happen to you if you're moving up the chain there and making more money, when you present, make sure that you cover only 3 to 5 main topics. And so the days of death by PowerPoint should be over, and you should have 3 to 5 slides with main topics on there, and that's all you're doing. And if you want to send them a PDF that have got more detail, then you do that, but you don't put it all on the slides. And then it's difficult for anybody to listen for more than 15 minutes. 50 minutes. There is a reason why we have classes that are usually only 50 minutes long. It's because it didn't take long in the cycle of I need to teach you something to realize around 45 to 50 minutes people go and they just blank out. They're gone. My dad used to always say, because he was a teacher as well, that people's brains cannot absorb more than their backside can stand. So if their backside is hurting, then they're done listening. And so 50 minutes is about all you want to go for. Sometimes you may have to do more. I mean, they have company retreats where they're like, you got the next 2 hours. In that case, you want to break it up if you can. So, and let's take a look at, let's take a look at actually skill is clarify and restate. And a lot of people know about this skill, and it's part of communications. So what you're saying is, right, and you're not trying to be a lawyer. You're not trying to redirect them. I just dealt with tech support yesterday, and the guy kept trying to redirect me. And I'm like, dude, that is not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that at all. It's not going to fit your little program so you can click A and go to the next screen. That's not what I'm saying. So he kept trying to so you're saying this. No, I'm not saying this. I'm saying this. So you're saying this. No, I'm not saying. Right. That's what kept happening until finally I think he just wrote down what I was saying. But learn to clarify and restate. So if somebody says to you, my computer can't get on the internet anymore, then you don't say, so what you're saying is your computer can't get on the internet anymore? That's not what you do. That's just being a jerk. You say, so your web browser won't access any web pages? Yeah. What web browser are you using? Oh, I use Chrome, and it's not pulling up any pages, right? So for us in technology, there's a big difference between saying, I can't get on the internet and my web browser won't pull up pages. That can be a lot of different issues. So you want to learn, okay, so I'm hearing what you're saying is that your computer won't get to the Windows 10 login screen, right? Even though they said Windows won't boot. My Windows won't come up, right? So you're trying to help figure out what's going on. When you're in a meeting, right, somebody may ask you a question, and it's important for you to know if you understand what the question is. And so you restate that to them. And most often, how the job gets done is left up to you in IT. That is true. Most often, it's like, here's the job, go get it done. If you got to ask a bunch of questions, why did we hire you? But when getting work done, don't take the attitude that it's okay to rely on others to explain everything, right? Not saying don't ever ask for help. I'm saying that you can't walk in and go, I really don't know how to do what they just asked. So I'll go ask them to do it, and I'll watch every step they take. And that's not why you were hired. You have to grow and stretch as much as you can to have a successful career. And you have the internet to help you. So you could easily go, oh, they want me to back out a driver or roll back a driver. Let me Google that. Let me see what Google says about it. Okay, this is rolling back a driver. Sweet. Okay, that's what I need to do. Right. So do your own research. Don't rely on somebody else to just answer every single thing that you have to do. We do a practicum here where hopefully we get to place you with a hospital or a government institution around here, or some institution to help them out. And if you are the type of person that's like, okay, so you want me to run 4 cables from this building to the other building and use those things to get it through the wall. I've never done that. Can you show me how? Right? They're going to be going, did you even try to figure it out? Did the internet exist? Did you try to go there and see what you would need to do? Because I needed you to do it so I could do other things, right? That's going to be their attitude. But that doesn't mean that if you're totally lost and you can't find anything that you should just sit over there. I hope they don't notice that I haven't gotten that done yet. You can't find any help on it, then yeah, you need to go say, I cannot find anything on this. What should I do? Do that. All right. And then just to sum this up, company politics, dealing with people can prove to be the most difficult challenge in work. Can't get that to highlight. And this section, of course, is not written to provide some comprehensive thing of this is how you deal with this. This is how you be successful. You need to be aware that there are politics wherever you go, And the best rule of thumb is keep out of the politics. So you haven't been here long enough, but do you know that Jim is just a jerk? Like that's politics, right? You need to find out if Jim's a jerk for yourself. You don't rely on, well, oh, I'll stay away from that guy. Thinks a lot, right? Maybe that guy's trying to sabotage you, and I hate to say it, but that happens. I got hired once at a to do a particular job, and I was replacing somebody else that was still finishing something up. They did not like me there, if you know what I mean, right? I'm replacing them. I don't know that. I'm going in, oh, hey, how are you? And the person's all mean and upset with what's happening, and so I just stay out of it. Whatever they're telling me about the employers, whatever they're telling me, I don't care. I'm not listening to a dang thing they're saying because there's politics that are going on there. I need to judge for myself. All right. So anyway, this is all caused by a lot of things, but there's two main things that cause all these disgruntled happenings. One is poor management, and two, when dealing with so many personalities, there is always going to be someone that's dissatisfied. So management is really responsible for keeping things working and keeping people happy and not be like, oh, I hate when Janet comes in, and trying to keep all that mess out. And so poor management will just, they just let people do what they're going to do. And like, oh, that's not mine. They don't realize that, if you're a manager, no, it's your job to make sure that people are not being offended and run off. You need to deal with Janet, who's causing a bunch of problems, and say, you need to settle down or you're going to have to find another place to work. And a lot of places, especially in government, they don't deal with it. That's poor management. And then you need to realize that maybe it's not poor management at all. Maybe you've got 50 people you're working with, and there's always going to be like 4 or 5 that just can't stand each other. And it's best to just steer clear of it and deal with it as best you can and stay out of the politics. So remember, your biggest concern should be how successful you are or being successful in your job. That's your first thing. This is not a sitcom. This is not TV. This is not The Office. You don't sit around bad mouthing Joe because you don't know if he's having trouble in his life and his kids hate him or whatever is going on. You don't know why he's disgruntled and upset. You don't know how he's been treated. You need to make sure your job is getting done. Don't get involved in all the politics that happen. If you get caught up, this is where it comes down to. If you get caught up in workplace politics, you may be viewed by the management as part of the problem. And if this happens, will management think of you for a promotion when the time comes? No. The answer is no. And a lot of people make that mistake. They get tied up in politics and you're like, yeah, that boss is a jerk and he doesn't know what he's doing and he can't do my job. That's always what people think. It's like somehow their boss is supposed to be able to do their job. That's not the case. Your boss is not there to do your job. They're there to keep everybody happy and keep everybody with the resources they need to have in order to get their jobs done. You shouldn't expect your boss to be the person that can step in and do your job. Now, that's a falsehood. That is a bad way of thinking. And actually, some companies promote it, right? They promote somebody that did that job into a management position, and then they have no idea how to be a manager, and the whole thing's messed up. I'm probably talking too much on this, but I have a management degree. So that's one of my pet peeves. So just remember that if you're caught on the wrong side of that, why would you expect to get a raise? Why would you expect to get that promotion? You're seen as the trouble, right? They're just hoping you leave some point, right? So if you don't get caught up in the office politics, when the time comes for a promotion or a raise, you're not part of it, right? And they see that. If you find management unbearable, don't complain about it. Find a new job, right? You're in the tech field. You can get jobs all over the place. If you just find that you cannot deal with management because they can't control their employees or because they're just stupid, don't go around telling people, oh yeah, I can't, oh, they're just so stupid, I can't deal with them anymore. Don't do that. Just start looking for another job, because some places do call where you worked before And if you were seen as a problem, then what is management, who's the problem, going to say about you, right? Management's never the problem. They're going to blame it on you. So it's hard, but stay out of that politics. Overall, you want to be viewed as a person who clearly understands what needs to be done, communicates and works well with others, and can work on their own or in a group while focusing on helping the organization achieve its goals. That is the bottom line. If you want a motto for what do I need to be when I go to work, that is it. And I've seen people that have that attitude and they are promoted and promoted and promoted, right? Viewed as a person who clearly understands what needs to be done, meaning that you're not too proud to go and say, what's going on here again? You said this, does this have to happen too? You know, you clearly understand what needs to be done. You can communicate and work well with others. You can work on your own. Nobody has to come and see if the job got done or check on you and say, hey, why isn't this done yet? Why isn't this happening? And you can work well as a group and say, what's my part? Okay, my part's this. I'm going to go do that part. And then let me know if you guys need help, right? And then focus on helping the organization, whatever the organization's goals are. If they make pies and you're the tech person that keeps the information email system running, then you want to make sure that whatever you're doing helps make those pies. And we'll talk about that flow of money in just a little while.